Please be advised, all music tracks used in this production are sole property of Kelsunn Communications and are original compositions. Thank you.
We'll be right back after this message from our sponsor.
Hello, travelers. We'd like to introduce you to Hop-In Bus Service, LLC, founded in 2018. Our goal is to provide people across the U.S. with world-class travel and tourism services. Our expertise allows us to offer our customers the best deals. We've built a reputation on tailoring our services to meet your needs. We specialize in motor coach buses and party buses. We offer clean vehicles and professional drivers for your next trip or occasion. Our passion is safe traveling. We're a contract carrier licensed to operate in all 48 states. We believe in providing a personal touch beyond just making your next charter bus or party bus reservation. You can book us today for your next amusement park, casino, or family reunion trip. We can handle all of your transportation needs like corporate events, weddings, or proms. We're committed to making travel easy for you. For a free quote today, call 833-774-6746. That's 833-774-6746. And remember, don't just stand there, hop in.
To everyone tuning in, welcome. This is Silas, your e-journalism social work advocate. You're listening to the Kelsunn-on-the-Air social work podcast, the program that promotes, celebrates, uplifts, and highlights the social work profession. This podcast aims to educate the general public to the vital contributions professional social workers make in every aspect of society, every day.
Hey, it's Cleary Jones, executive producer of Elvis Duran and The Morning Show on Z100. I want to talk to you all about my friend and fellow Brooklyn College alumnus, Silas Kelly. Silas hosts and produces the award-winning Kelsunn-on-the-Air social work podcast. My friend and fellow BCR alum is known nationally and internationally as Silas, your e-journalist, social work advocate. His podcast, it's also listed as one of the top social work podcasts you must follow. The award-winning Kelsunn-on-the-Air social work podcast.
Last year on Thursday, June 17th, 2021, President Joe Biden signed into law legislation designating June 19th a federally designated and recognized holiday. On Saturday, June 19th, 2021, Kelsunn Communications and the award-winning Kelsunn-on-the-Air social work podcast went on location to the 3Ds Community Empowerment Center in Baldwin, New York to cover their Juneteenth celebration, which was co-sponsored by the Nassau-Suffolk Association of Black Social Workers. Coordinators and attendees were asked to share their thoughts on the meaning of the historic day, and their responses were recorded and produced as a podcast. Earlier this year, that podcast was submitted to the Communicator Awards competition, which is sponsored annually by the Academy of Interactive and Visual Arts. Subsequently, on May 10th, 2022, we received the exciting news that the submission was chosen as a winner for an award of distinction in the audio on podcast category. Kelsunn Communications is proud to reshare this production with everyone once again to celebrate this great achievement. Please listen, like, share, download, and comment. Also, all and any donations of any amount would be greatly appreciated. Your support will allow us to continue offering this platform to enhance the greater good locally and globally. Thank you. Harambe. In Swahili, it means all pulled together.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to a very joyous celebration. And this is a special edition of the Kelsunn-on-the-Air Social Work Podcast. Saturday, June 19th, 2021. And this is the official federal holiday that has been designated by President Joe Biden as a national holiday to celebrate Juneteenth. So we'll be bringing you clips from guests throughout the course of the day on their reflections, impressions, thoughts, hopes, and dreams about going forward as we recognize Juneteenth as a national holiday. And we're going to be talking to folks throughout the course of the activities here being sponsored by the
3Ds Aftercare Center in Baldwin, New York, and the Nassau-Suffolk Association of Black Social Workers.
I'm one of the members, known as Silas, your e-journalism social work advocate. All right, hello everyone, and welcome. This is Silas, your e-journalism social work advocate. On a very happy and joyous occasion, I'm here at the 3D's Aftercare Incorporated Center, and I have the honor and pleasure of introducing, to kick off this special Juneteenth celebration podcast, Dr. Lisa Z. Newland. She's the president of the Nassau-Suffolk Association of Black Social Workers and also chair of the Malloy College School of Social Work. Welcome, Dr. Lisa Newland, and please give our listeners a little insight on what this day is, how it all came together, and what this Juneteenth celebration means to you.
Well, thank you for having us. I think this is an awesome opportunity to just come together and celebrate liberation and what liberation means. And we recognize that liberation represents struggle and also represents sacrifice and strength, pain and promise. So we're here kicking off a celebration of coming together, gathering. The Nassau-Suffolk Association of Black Social Workers, which I'm the proud president of, has done a Juneteenth celebration and gathering annually for now 3 years. The first year we came together in community and we really focused on affirming ourselves. The second year we came together virtually and we talked about intergenerational perspectives on social justice. And today we're here lifting the theme of wellness warriors, promoting individual, family, and community well-being. So we know there are a lot of threats to well-being that impact us financially, physically, emotionally, spiritually, so many different ways. So we want to come and be in dialogue with each other and have activities that people can do to lift the idea of being a warrior for their own wellness. So we're getting it in today. We started the day with African dance and drumming and centering ourselves around the culture and the spirit of Africa and being persons of African descent. And we had some dancing, and we're doing yoga and stress in the body and men's health, social justice talks, as well as emotional emancipation circles, which helps us deal with the realities of racial trauma.
A great activity lineup scheduled for today, and thank you so much for sharing that with our listeners. And next we're going to turn to Dr. Zodelia Williams, founder of the 3D's Aftercare Incorporated Center, where this celebration is taking place. And Dr. Williams, please give our listeners some insight into your reflections on this day, this celebration, and what it means to you.
Thank you so much for having me, and I'm just honored that the Association of Black Social Workers chose 3D's Aftercare Inc. to partner with, along with Malloy College. It's important because this is part of the dream, being liberated. Our ancestors fought for me to have be able to be blessed, to be a blessing to the community with this community center. So we are located at 881 Merrick Road, and it's the 3D's Community Empowerment Center 2. We did have one on Seaman Avenue, and here we are able to offer after school remote learning, a teen parent that rocks parenting program, teen cafe, middle school mingle, all kind of services to the community. And we don't only offer services to students in Baldwin, we go across to Uniondale, Roosevelt, Freeport, because we know that together, right, and being liberated, we have to go back and help our people, help all of our people, and not just our people. We have to be all about community. So this day is important because we get to celebrate together and impact our community as well.
Okay, well, thank you so much. And we know that Thursday of this week, President Joe Biden signed into law to make Juneteenth a national holiday. Dr. Newland, what does that mean to the African diaspora community?
So if I'm honest, I think that it's met with mixed feelings. And the reality of where we are at our time in our nation, where there is a real and continued assault on Black lives on so many different levels, people do take this with a wondering what does it mean to declare a federal holiday while we still have oppressive systems operating. And so while I think it's a public recognition and acknowledgement that's important, I also realize that it's fraught for some with some conflicting thoughts and feelings. But I do believe that it is a step to open up awareness and allow us to come together to have more dialogue and hopefully advocate and put into place more equity in our systems.
Okay. As we fight against the oppressive systems that we've been forced to deal with, finding ourselves, feeling like we're liberating ourselves. So the big conversation lately has circled around and centered around reparations. And so on this Juneteenth celebration, we think that it will be fit for some reflections and insight into what that means to the general public versus what that means to people of African descent. So any thoughts that you'd like to share on the concept and the discussion and the debate around reparations? And I'll take comments from both of you.
Dr. Zodelia Williams.
So first, I just want to say that in regard to the holiday being a holiday, we want to give kudos to Opal Lee. Right, she was unwavering. She stood through the fight to get this day a federal holiday. So we don't want to diminish her hard work and dedication. Like, if I can be transparent as well, while I think it's great to have the day off, I think it's great to celebrate. We have been celebrating for a long time because we understood that this was above and beyond what anyone could give us. So thank you for making it legal. We appreciate you, and we deserve more than that, right? So yes, it's the one thing to say we're liberated, and then when I walk in the store, I have to worry about I'm black, or I have to worry about my 32-year-old son and sleep with the phone by my pillow if he's going to get stopped. If he's stopped, are they going to ask him the right questions? Is he going to make the right movement? Is my 20-year-old, when we leave where we live in South Freeport, are they going to ask her for ID and not her friend? So while it's great, I appreciate it, there's still a lot of work to do.
Absolutely.
And I would just say, in terms of the fight for reparations, that has been an ongoing labor. There are several advocates who the National Association of Black Social Workers is affiliated with an umbrella organization, the Black Family Summit, which comes out of the Institute of the Black World 21st Century. And that brings together a collaborative of over 29, I believe, Black professional membership-based organizations. And so the board of IBW and some of the family that comes from working with those organizations have been champions for reparations for decades. And I think, we don't want to lose sight of the work of those whose shoulders we stand on as we think about what the continued struggle needs to mean. I think, we need to see the fruits of the labor of all of those who advocate so strongly for reparations.
Okay, thank you.
And then teach about why it's necessary, what it represents, and have trusted messengers delivering that information within our communities, our allies, and persons who may be against what this idea is. We still need to lift the facts and the truths of why it's necessary.
Absolutely. And the other thing that I just want to point out is that in the resistance to even consider reparations in various different circles, both in government, private industry, and in everyday communities, I think we should never lose sight of the fact that when slavery was quote unquote ended, and it's in the documents of history that each family was quote unquote promised 40 acres and a mule so that they could start to build their own family wealth and intergenerational wealth. And so with that promise never being kept, and if you multiplied that would be a significant amount that we could see that we could be owed at a time like this. So I want to thank both of you for stopping in for a quick moment. We're looking forward to having more members come by and share their thoughts. And again, thank you for putting on such a great celebration, and congratulations, Dr. Zodi and Dr. Lisa Newland, on all your fine achievements. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. We appreciate you.
Once again, ladies and gentlemen, we're here at the 3Ds Aftercare Incorporated, and we're celebrating Juneteenth. And this is Silas, your e-journalism social work advocate. And we have some other members here who are going to share their insights, thoughts, and reflections about Juneteenth. So thank you for joining us, ladies.
Ms. Vanessa Barrow, a Nassau-Suffolk Association of Black Social Workers member.
Hi, everyone. So just the significance of Juneteenth being recognized as a federal holiday, for me, it just shows that, our struggle, our heritage, the importance of what our people went through. And when we were enslaved, I always like to use the terminology enslaved as opposed to being slaves, because we were enslaved, we were not slaves. And just to have that recognized on a national level is great. It's amazing. I think that, this is a holiday that we do have to teach our children. When I was growing up in school, I knew nothing about Juneteenth. So I really do think that this needs to be taught in the curriculum. I even asked my stepdaughter, are they teaching about Juneteenth in school? And she said no. So I think, we need to promote African American history in the school system throughout the year, not just for February for Black History Month. So I think that this is one thing I feel that coming from the recognition of this being a federal holiday, to always teach our history, because our history cannot be just confined to 1 month.
Yes.
Our American history, and just even if you want to go across the diaspora in the Caribbean, Latin America, South America, Brazil, my family's from Guyana. Guyana's in South America. This history is important, and our work, our culture, our labor, built these countries. And as I said, it needs to be taught. Our children needs to be taught the importance, and we were an important part of history. We were not just slaves. We built America, we built the Caribbean, and we built Latin America. So I think that, just having the aspect of our history taught on a regular basis is one of the first steps. And another thing I really do feel strongly, we do need to have an anti-hate Black bill passed. The anti-Asian bill was passed. We need to have that for us. We've been fighting for this since the end of slavery through Jim Crow civil rights, and we have yet to have that bill passed. And I think this is the momentum that we need to have that bill passed, and also a voting rights bill. So just getting involved with our members of Congress, legislators, holding them accountable. We vote these people in, and then we don't do anything. They don't hear from us. They don't even know who we are. And then 2 years later, we vote them in again. But what have they done for us? We have to hold these members of Congress accountable. So that's my main, what I feel I would want to see as an offspring of this bill being passed. Just to have our history being taught on a regular basis, and just having these, the voting rights bill passed, the anti-hate bill against, people of, African American, descent being passed, just like they passed for the Asians.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for that very insightful answer. I appreciate that. Thank you, Ms. Vanessa Barrow.
We'll be right back after this message from our sponsor.
Hello, travelers. We'd like to introduce you to Hop-In Bus Service, LLC, founded in 2018. Our goal is to provide people across the U.S. with world-class travel and tourism services. Our expertise allows us to offer our customers the best deals. We've built a reputation on tailoring our services to meet your needs. We specialize in motor coach buses and party buses. We offer clean vehicles and professional drivers for your next trip or occasion. Our passion is safe traveling. We're a contract carrier licensed to operate in all 48 states. We believe in providing a personal touch beyond just making your next charter bus or party bus reservation. You can book us today for your next amusement park, casino, or family reunion trip. We can handle all of your transportation needs like corporate events, weddings, or proms. We're committed to making travel easy for you. For a free quote today, call 833-774-6746. That's 833-774-6746. And remember, don't just stand there, hop in.
And now we're going to turn to Miss Michelle Bleary Samuel, a Nassau-Suffolk Association of Black Social Workers member. And you're going to share your insights and your reflections and thoughts on Juneteenth, the whole concept of the African diasporan struggle in this country and globally, and how it all ties into this day and on the broader scale.
Just reflecting on today, for myself as an immigrant from Jamaica, well, I didn't learn about Juneteenth. I learned about the slavery coming to this country. It wasn't taught in school. And the same thing as Miss Vanessa, I took an African-American class, and that's how I was introduced to what Juneteenth meant, the history of Juneteenth. So for myself, I am trying to educate my children so they understand not just slavery, but just to understand everything in regards to the same thing, the diaspora of the Caribbean, South America. Exactly what Vanessa said, trying to learn more and learn so we can move forward and advocate for new bills, new laws that is going to advance the African American population. I think it's an amazing thing for yesterday, the bill to become law.
A federal holiday.
It's amazing, a federal holiday, and I try to educate my children to let them know it's not just a day off from school. Going forward is for you to understand and to learn about your culture and your rich history.
Yes.
Because we do have a rich history. And moving forward as a social worker, I would like to make sure that I am advocating, as well as my fellow colleagues, advocating for more laws, more bills to pass, so this way we can advance the African American community. And I think it's just an amazing thing for us to be able to celebrate Juneteenth and to just learn about our rich history.
Yes, and one thing that I'd like to say in wrapping this and tying these two great comments up is that it's been said, and we as human beings on this planet need to recognize that African history is part of world history.
Yes, it is.
African history is part of every history on this planet. Wherever you go, there's something that ties to Africa and its rich history. And African civilizations have built cultures that were far advanced, but you don't hear about that. It's not taught, and it needs to be taught. Just teach the truth. You know, it's about the truth. It's not about fabricating anything. It's not about bragging. It's about the truth is the truth is the truth. And you teach the truth and you present it. You know, don't hide it, and don't sugarcoat it and don't eliminate it. Just teach the truth. You know, Tulsa happened. Tell why it happened. Tell what happened. You know, that was never in the history books.
I did not know about Tulsa, the Black Wall Street, until recently, to be honest. And once again, that was never taught in school. That was never brought up. Where now it's actually out in the open and people are actually learning more about it. And I think it's a great thing. So the more we dig into our history, the more things will be revealed, and we'll be able to educate everyone on, like I said, the African American experience, our culture, how we played a major role in creating America for what it is.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes, just to piggyback, yes, I definitely agree about that, because, you know, we kind of like to put African American history and roll it up in a bow, and it's basically Rosa Parks, Malcolm X, and Martin Luther King. And it's so much more to it. Perfect example, Hidden Figures. I knew nothing about that story, and that's actually an amazing story that Black women actually played a part in having an American go into space. But did I learn about that in school? No, I did not. So we have to, you know, as you said, continually educate ourselves. And I feel like once we, you know, the more educated we are about our history and the role our history played in American history, and as you said, you know, across the diaspora, and as you said, just, you know, everywhere you look, African roots, African history plays a major part in civilization, and we enlighten ourselves and open our eyes. You know, it's more to us than just Black History Month and those four figures that everybody, and of course Harriet Tubman. You know, those are the main people that they always talk about during Black History Month, and we need to open our eyes to this so much more. We have so much more to offer. We have offered so much to American culture and history.
I think it's about exposure. The more we learn, the more we're able to teach others. And I think the media is a great area or avenue for us to show everyone Hidden Figures, all these different Tulsa. If that was not on I guess Oprah's the one that did a special on it, I think we would not have known about the Tulsa and the Black Wall Street. So I feel that the media, the more we're involved in media, the more we'll learn. Others will learn about the culture as well.
And also, you know, we need to constantly recognize all of the great contributions that were made right here in this country. We need to tell all of our children that every time you get in your car with your parents and they drive down the street and they stop at a stoplight, Garrett Morgan invented that stoplight. Every time you turn on the light and it doesn't blow out right away, yes, Thomas Edison got credit, but it was Lewis Lattimore that figured out the filament part. Yes, Thomas Edison, he invented the electric lamp. but it kept blowing out. He had an assistant. His assistant's name was Lewis Latimer. Lewis Latimer worked under Thomas Edison, but he was the one that figured out what needed to be done so that now when you turn on the light, it stays and it doesn't blow out. But they don't teach you that. They got Thomas Edison, Con Edison out in the city, but if you go to the Schomburg, they have it as the Schomburg Edison Lattimore Science Wing. So we need to just constantly make sure that we know our history and educate our children so that when they step out into the world, they can step out with a sense of pride and dignity and knowing that they come from greatness. We need to
royalty.
Yes, royalty, greatness, kings and queens, inventors, innovators, business owners. Look at Wall Street. Look at all the people. They had a flourishing economy that was self-sufficient. Didn't need anything from anything outside. And that's why it was destroyed. Let's be clear about that. So I think on this day of Juneteenth celebration, and yes, it's a day that we want to recognize what took place, and it's a national holiday. But again, like you said, let's continue to build on our history and our legacy so that our children know that there's nothing that we can't do, and nothing that they've tried to do has ever prevented us from being successful as long as we have a positive outlook. Okay, again, we're here at the 3Ds Aftercare Incorporated Center. This is Silas, your e-journalism social work advocate, and we're here celebrating Juneteenth with the Nassau-Suffolk Association of Black Social Workers. And it's a very special day after 3 days ago having the holiday been declared a national holiday by President Joe Biden. But we want to get some reflections and some impressions from our young people about what this means and what they hope this means for the future. And so we're going to first start with
Janiyah, a community youth attendee.
And we're going to ask you, Janiyah, to just share some thoughts about what you feel is important about this day.
It's mostly about Black people and how we're not really the focus in our world, and I think that it's good that how we are today, and it should be every day, but I like how this holiday we are all more known and more focused.
And what do you hope will happen as a result of this now being declared a national holiday? What do you think, what would you like to see happen for things to get better?
I hope that more people who are maybe not Black could educate themselves more on Black culture, because a lot of people they think that since it's not them, it doesn't have anything to do with them or anything. So I hope that people can educate themselves on Black culture.
Thank you so much for that insightful answer, and I appreciate it. Okay, now we're going to turn to
Ashia, another community youth attendee.
Ashia, tell us your impressions about Juneteenth and how you feel about this being declared a national holiday.
Well, I first learned about Juneteenth about 4 years ago when I was a freshman. A friend of mine told me about it on the bus, and I always heard about it from my grandparents, from my parents, but I never really understood what the meaning of it was. And then about a year or two later, an episode of Blackish came out, and they did a whole feature about Juneteenth, and it educated me further. So I hope in the future that Juneteenth, like Janiyah said, forces people to educate themselves on the holiday and what it means to us and the United States.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you so much for your insightful answers. It's always great to get some input from our younger generation, since it's going to be young ladies and young men that's going to carry the traditions forward, and so you need to be well armed with education, facts, and knowledge. And again, always step into any situation knowing that you belong there and you're just as good as anybody, and nobody's better than you. Okay, so thank you so much both for participating.
Thank you.
Okay, once again, ladies and gentlemen, this is Silas, your e-journalism social work advocate, and we're here live on set at the 3Ds Aftercare Incorporated Child Development Center, and we're here celebrating Juneteenth, and we're getting some various different opinions and impressions from various members of the National Association of Black Social Workers, Nassau-Suffolk chapter. And so I have with me today Miss Edith August, Nassau-Suffolk Association of Black Social Workers member, and Miss Pauline Rolls, Nassau-Suffolk Association of Black Social Workers member. And we're going to ask each of you just share a little bit of insight and your impressions and your thoughts on this particular celebration this year, being that it just got declared a national holiday, what you think that means, and going forward, what you hope that actually brings about. So I'll start with you, Edith.
Okay. For me, is a little bit of history. Is in 1863, during the American Civil War, President Abraham Lincoln issued the Emancipation Proclamation, which declared more than 3 million slaves living in the Confederate States to be free. More than 2 years would pass, however, before the news reached African Americans living in Texas. It was not until Union soldiers arrived in Galveston, Texas on June 19, 1865, that the state's residents finally learned that slavery had been abolished. The former slaves immediately began to celebrate with prayer, feasting, song, and dance. And for me personally, as I read this and I think about where we are, I think about I am a child of the social change from the 60s and the 70s. I think about the Jim Crow that was going on in the South. I think about crop sharing. So even though if I look at when Lincoln freed the slave and I look at this and I look at what's going on today, I have to keep hope alive, because if I don't keep hope alive, I will end up destroying myself. So yesterday, this United States Supreme Court reversed the Affordable Care Act. They didn't pass it. They rejected that. Yesterday, a ground was broken up in Harlem for the new urban development, where they will bring community partners will come in and have businesses at this particular site and affordable housing. Things like that, it keeps hope alive. But I also think about George Floyd. I also think about Breonna Taylor. I also think about my 3 adult African American sons and the journey that we've come with them and the journey that they continue to take. So as I said, on this day, I can only keep hope alive. Putting one step in front of the other. And basically, that's what we all have to do. We can't give up. We have to keep striving ahead. It's one of the things one of my sons said to me. He said, "Mom, let's not always focus on the bad. Let's focus on the good. Let's look at everything that was done to us, but we are still here."
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So that is a strength. And as a social worker, we pull on that strength perspective.
Yes.
Wherever we need to reach and pull from. And that is, and I look back, we had a black president. So we've only been free for 50 years, but still look at where we are. And that's the way as even though sometimes I get very sad, during the whole Black Lives Matter, I cried and said, how much more can I take? But I put one step in front of the other. And I think if we all continue to do that, if we all continue to make strides, things will continue to change.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much for those insightful and impactful comments. That was a great contribution to this audio montage. And next we're going to go to Miss Pauline Rolls, and she's going to share her thoughts and impressions and her hopes for what this declaration of a national holiday of Juneteenth means to her.
I'll start by saying that I am in great spirits today, and I'm in great spirits being here at 3Ds for the Association of Black Social Workers, Nassau-Suffolk chapter, for putting on this event where we all contributed, so many different volunteers from the community and so many of our members who participated in so many different ways. So I'm very proud of that, because part of what I think about Juneteenth is our service to the community, our service to our people, and the efforts of volunteering. So since I've learned about Juneteenth, which was a few years ago, very inspired. When I heard about Juneteenth, I said, what? You mean there were really some people who didn't know that slavery ended? And this just kind of puzzled me, because as I think about emancipation, across the diaspora, and there's Emancipation Day in so many other places, but to know that in the United States, there was a divide. And so people in Texas, they didn't know. And not only that, you know, with that Emancipation Proclamation and all of that, if you really read it, I can't read it now, if you really read it, you'll see that there was freedom for everybody. If you look, you know, read deep into it, you will realize that freedom wasn't for everybody at that time. And so each year, as I learn more about Juneteenth, I share more. I share with my community, I share with my family, I share at work. And I do a lot of sharing at work because, you know, each person that I talk to, up until now it's a little bit different. This last year and this year, they didn't know about Juneteenth. So just thinking about it, I've always asked, you know, when will the powers that be recognize this day that has been recognized by Black people across the United States for so many years? So I'm inspired by this most recognition that happened 2 days ago, and I'm glad, but I know that there is much more to do to bring equity, because we're celebrating Juneteenth and we're celebrating it as a Independence Day. There's so much work. It's just the beginning.
Yes.
And that's the way that I think about it. So to work hard to bring our communities together, let me say that I'm most proud of Nassau-Suffolk Association of Black Social Workers for taking on this task of sharing our events with our members and members of the community. So we are from activities all the way to emotional emancipation. If we continue to carry those feelings that are placed on us or those lies that are placed on us, we won't prosper. So we take that task on every year at Nassau-Suffolk Association of Black Social Workers, and we'll do it this year also. So I say, we take the time, we take the knowledge, and we take what the government has given to us as a day to reflect, and what they give to you, you have to use it. So we'll use it to the best of our advantage, to look back, look forward, and to do all that we can, enjoy, and carry on with Juneteenth as we go into 2022.
Yes, thank you. And I thank you for those very poignant remarks, and I wrap things up by saying Harambe.
Harambe.
What is the news? Juneteenth is now a national holiday, and the journey and the struggle and the triumphs continue.
Yes.
All right. Okay.
Great way to close it out.
This is Silas, your e-journalism social work advocate and host of the show. You've been listening to the Kelsunn-on-the-Air Social Work Podcast. This and all other programs are available on the Apple iTunes, SoundCloud, Spotify, and Anchor podcast platforms. Go to any search engine and type in Kelsunn-on-the-Air in the search window to hear this show in its entirety. Thank you for tuning in. This has been a Kelsunn Communications production.